Cincinnati, Ohio, so we're a long way from home.
There's a line about a mile long behind me, so I'm excited to get inside and see these matches start.
I'm here from Sacramento, California.
I'm Doublelift's #1 fan.
I'm so excited to see all the pro players together.
I'm really excited to come and see the Korean teams, especially SK Telecom 1.
I'm so excited and looking forward to meeting Dyrus.
And I came only for Doublelift. And I plan to take him with me.
So to be here in the audience live is just going to be great.
And yeah, I'm really excited. Oh, actually, I gotta go. They're letting people in.
Welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship live from Los Angeles, California. And I gotta give mad props to every single one of you guys out there in the audience. It's awesome to have you here. And thanks for queuing up for hours beforehand. There's about 450, 500 people here just for the group stages.
A large number, yeah.
It's massive, it's massive.
And it's great. Through the soundproof headsets we have, I can still hear you guys cheering from like across the stage. We're about as far away as we could be.
They're a little loud.
And your TSM chants, your cheers come through, so thank you guys for making this magical.
Well, once again, we would also like to welcome OGN's Monte Cristo, EG's Crepo, as well as CLG's Doublelift. Welcome back to the desk, guys. Now that we are 3 games into Group A, let's take a look at the standings. Tied for first place is China's OMG and Korea's SKT T1, while Team Solo Mid is sitting in 3rd at a 1-1 record.
And rounding out the very, very early standings is Gaming Gear and Lemon Dogs at 0-1. But with 7 games left to play for those teams, we still have a lot of league to go before we can crown a Group A winner.
Yeah, so I want to open this one up to the panel, and before we get to our next couple of matches, let's actually take a look back at those first 3 games, starting with the inaugural battle of the Season 3 World Championship, Gaming Gear versus Team Solo Mid. Now, I want to cast your minds back just a little bit, and let's talk about the picks and the bans, because Monty, you were feeling very strongly about this game.
I really did feel strongly about the picks and the bans in this game. I don't really understand why TSM got so many of these powerful champions. I mean, coming from the Korean scene, this is pretty much a dream team for the KT Rolster Bullets, a team that aren't here. So
just to clarify for everybody as well, we did see a first pick Jarvan from Gaming Gear. Later on, we've seen TSM securing Vi, Corki, and Fiddlesticks.
yeah, you know what stood out to me is that Gaming Gear played like they weren't on the latest patch. We see the Elise, Karthus, and TF bans against TSM, but I don't really see them picking up those champions when there are other picks like Shen, Vi, Zed, and Corki that are all available and all really particularly strong right now. And the other thing is they gave them so many options with this composition. Vi coming in, or Shen coming in onto Vi into the back line is a great combo. Shen and Zed is a great combo to turn around a fight instantly, give Zed a little more time to deal damage. It's just absolutely terrifying. And Corki with that Trinity Force is pretty darn strong right now.
Yeah, really there was a heavy emphasis on TSM's bottom lane. If like the opening I was going to say for GG was the mid lane. Okay, can Mazarin beat Reginald and can Alunir kind of gank and get that lane ahead? But the top lane and bottom lane were the lanes that I was going to give the TSM, and it looked like that was their plan as well. Xpecial pink warded that lane a number of times and let the ganks come in. You had a Vi gank it
before. Talk me through that.
Contested their own red jungle, which almost worked. They didn't get a kill from that. I feel if Lemon Dogs could have gotten a kill, they could have gotten a snowball needed to beat such a humongous team as SKT1. They got a really big lead early, but then later on the composition kicked in, especially stealing the blue buff. Like me and Monty, we went back and forth on that a lot. I think for me the game went back into SKT1's favor once they denied the first blue buff of Swain.
I mean, we talked about that. I think that the blue buff accelerated the game pace, but I don't think it was actually critical to that victory. I think SK Telecom, based on the composition, and I do agree that Lemon Dogs planned out the pick and ban phase and knew what was coming, but I actually think that they misplanned it. In that, Piglet is known. He's one of the very few AD carries who will split push by himself on Vayne, the other one being double lift. So in this case, you have Elise, and the build on Elise too, going for the early haunting guys. So you had strong split pushing coming in. So you had the Vayne in one lane, the Elise in another. They got control over bottom side jungle with Vision and planted Faker in there to punish rotations. From Lemon Dog's perspective, if you're going to deal with these split pushers, the only answer you have is Corki. But if you take Corki out to go split push against Vayne, all of a sudden, with Thresh, Swain, Vi, Malphite, you don't have any more damage to take it. So you need Vi and Malphite there to make picks, but if you lose vision control, SK Telecom sees it coming every time, you start losing towers. So they didn't have an answer to the split push with their comp unless they had better rotations, and I don't think that Lemon Dogs can out-rotate SK Telecom.
I think the only answer would have been a really big early lead, and I just wanted to say like Faker was godlike. Every chance. Lemon Dogs had such a lead, it just wasn't big enough, and Faker denied them every opportunity to get a bigger lead. Okay, Vi's ganking me, you know what, I'll jump out. That's what a normal Ahri would do. No, Faker would just put a charm in his face, put him under the tower, and he drew so much attention to him, and he just outplayed every fight. You could see it every fight, he would jump away just right before Malphite ulti came, Vi ulti landed. He just decided that game on his own.
And I just wanted to add, like, the Vi Malphite combo that Lemon Dogs pulled is really strong against, like, old CLG style or like traditional Chinese style where it's very AD centric. But against SKTT1 where both the solo laners are so scary, that game it was Elise and Ahri, Vi and Malphite won't be able to kill one target where they have 3 threats. So it's just really not that strong.
So going into Game 3, it was a little bit more chaotic, TSM versus OMG. During the course of the picks and bans phase, you know, Double Lift, you had some strong words about the assassins that TSM were picking, and it was going to be difficult for them to kill OMG.
Yeah, I definitely felt like TSM had a very assassin-heavy team comp with Fizz and Elise, and I believe their top lane was Rumble, who I kind of consider an assassin as he's a backline disruptor. The backline that game was Ahri, who is not going to be caught, Caitlyn, who's incredibly hard to get to with Zyra plants and like Zyra ulti to zone, and their top lane was Kennen, who's eventually going to get an Hourglass. So who are you going to assassinate on OMG's team? It's just really hard to come back from such a big deficit like that when you're outcomped.
The one thing I do want to just highlight is, as the final point in this game was that the roaming death squad that came up from ONG, they pulled it off. They got it going very early on in that particular matchup, and they really made it work in their favor. It was something that, you know, before 7 minutes, they'd tower dove once and they picked up kills. Monty, do you want to chime in on that? Because it was something that we all talked about and knew was going to be happening leading up into this match.
Well, OMG has been dealing with this style, executing this style ever since really they started in the LPL, the roaming gang squad. And it did work. They got that first blood at 3 minutes, but it is difficult if the other team starts pushing down towers or putting pressure on the other side of the map. I feel that it leaves them very naked and exposed in a lot of ways as well. And for me, why OMG took so long to close that game out was because of their composition. They only had secondary initiation. They didn't have a primary initiator, so they had to engage in poke wars around Baron, and Cool ran out of mana because he was trying to assassinate. So it could have closed faster if they had a better initiation.
Well, we'll have to see if they can learn from some of the mistakes that were made and try to pull themselves back into games later in the day. Now that you've heard from our take on the teams, let's see what you guys had to say about Group A. Earlier today, we asked you, who do you think is the strongest team in Group A and why? And here's what you guys got back to us. So at CrossNob, I think OMG, because their unfaltering mechanics will give them the advantage over more inconsistent teams like TSM. Crepo, do you want to chime in on this one?
I think based on the games we've seen so far, the unfaltering mechanics were on SKTT1, and OMG didn't look as good as I expected them to be. I can actually see Lemon Dogs pulling an upset against them later.
Ooh, some big words. At IRE Bus 9, he says, although I wanted to say TSM, I'm going with SKTT1. They have a very strong laning phase, and an early lead will give them a win. Monty, what do you think about that?
I think that the strength of the Korean teams, now we saw Lemon Dogs do well in lane, but it's about their mid-game rotations and their decision-making, and so I don't even think SK Telecom needs an early lead to take wins.
Well, we'll have to see if... there's a lot more to play. 7 more matches under
We saw that, actually. Yeah.
What a fanboy, dude.
Right?
Fanboy.
Slightly biased.
Well, at that dude 88, the strongest in Group A is OMG. It's in the name. I expect Group A will be kneeling before them when all is said and done. Freak, as you know, a one-line god that you are, what do you think of their name?
It's great.
At Silence says the best team in Group A is clearly
Godlike?
SKT1. They just came off of a winning OGN after being down 0-2 to the Bullets. They are the powerhouse. And Double Lift, what do you think?
You know, even though people downplay OMG, and I think there's a big difference between SKT1 and OMG's style, but I think the Chinese metagame is so strange. And while I really think SKT1 has proven that they're like super strong, I really just want to see them play OMG like so bad because they are the favorites into the group. But
2 games down. OMG, SKT1, we're getting there. Well, congratulations to the winners of the Logitech Gaming Master. Those were some world-class tweets. And even though we've already played 3 games, it's not too late to send us your predictions.
Isn't that kind of cheating? They already saw 3 games.
It's not cheating, it's research. So ignore Freak and send us those predictions. We're at LOL Esports, and remember, use the hashtag Worlds.
Well, and once you're done sending us your research picks, stop ignoring me and head over to bit.ly/worlds1, and that's the numeral, not the word, and answer a few questions like, which region would you most like to see host next year's World Championship? It's easy, it's fun, and it'll help us level up the LCS as we rep Season 3 and move ahead to Season 4.
And let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're only 3 matches into the Season 3 World Championship, and we've still got 7 more games to go just today. Coming up next, it is Europe's Lemon Dogs taking on the Wildcards Gaming Gear EU, followed by China's OMG battling Korea's SKT in a battle of the MVP mid laners. Double is nodding off on the side. Cool versus Faker.
And after that, Group B takes the rip with North America's Vulcan taking on European champions Fnatic. Then Europe's second Group B squad Gambit throws down against Southeast Asia's Mineski. Followed by that is Korea's Ozone looking to knock the air out of Vulcan.
The last 2 matches in this incredible day of action feature Mineski taking on Fnatic, and in the finale, it's Gambit battling Ozone. All right, guys, after the first 2 games of Worlds, let's see how you've done with your predictions so far. Since all 4 of you picked the same teams in our first 3 games, you're all tied at the top of the standings with a perfect 3-0. And while the viewers went with TSM in the last game, are now 1 pick behind. So we're beating the viewers.
Yes.
It's now time to put those perfect records on the line and pick the winners of the next 2 games, starting with the Lemon Dogs taking on Gaming Gear. I think I know where you're going with this one. One of these teams is going to pick up their first win of Worlds. Let's kick us off with Freak.
All right, gotta say Lemon Dogs, they were my pick for top 2 in the group. They're going to show it here. I think they looked very good against SKT. SKT is a better mid-game, but Lemon Dogs just throughout, I think, are the stronger team.
I have to say, Lemon Dogs is impressing me as well, and I'm having some reconsiderations about picking them or picking OMG over them, but Lemon Dogs for me as well.
Buyer's remorse.
Well researched.
Crepo, who's next?
After some really good research, as Monte said as well, I think Lemon Dogs are going to take this one pretty easily.
Double Lift?
Yep, short and sweet. Lemon Dogs has impressed me in just 1 game.
4-0. There's no variance yet. No variance. Now, next up, it is going to be OMG versus SKT. Now, this is a matchup that Double Lift was getting very excited about. So I'm going to kick it off to you to start off my prediction.
You know, just because I said SKT is going to hit #1 in the group, I have to vote for them because they are the favorites. But it's going to be so close. I know it's going to be really close. I really just want to see the Chinese meta clash against the Korean meta.
Your heart is saying
My heart is with
OMG.
SKT, though.
Your head is saying SKT.
Yeah.
Crepo, what about yourself?
Both my heart and head are with SKTT1.
Oh, so are you joining forces with Monty?
Yeah, I found out that the optimal strategy for this desk is just not at whatever Monty says.
Monty, what's your prediction?
Well, first off, I'd like to congratulate Crepo on his intelligence, but I'm going to take SK Telecom T1 as well. I think that they're just going to out-rotate OMG in the mid-game just like they did against Lemon Dogs. They'll probably go to an early deficit one more time, though.
All right, and for me, the only time I'll agree with you today is that I think SKT will win. I will vehemently just refuse everything else you say the rest of the day. So SKT, but otherwise you're just dead.
Well, we'll see how our analysts fare a little later in the day. And if last year's World Championship taught us anything, it's that predicting a winner is tough. As TPA came from nowhere to take the Season 2 title. And while the Assassins failed to make it back to the Worlds to defend their crown, they aren't the only Season 2 team that didn't make the cut. In fact, only 3 of last year's squads are back this season, and they're hoping their experience at Worlds is the buff they need to get out of the group stage.
Yeah, it's definitely at a different level than it was the first season when we won. Everyone's gotten better and there's gotten more people involved.
It was much harder, so it felt much more earned than last year.
Of course, last year it was hard because we were not as good as we are now, but even if it was harder, it was easier in the end for us to make it.
No one likes seeing one team just dominate, you know? Like, I think last season, the top 5 teams that took 1st to 5th, only one team made it back.
Now with the LCS for this season, the competition got much harder. Like a lot of old teams that got knocked out are not even going to Worlds. We're basically the oldest team left in the Worlds right now.
I think it's just good to be here, no matter if you're a returning team or you're the team playing. Everyone wants to be here and we're here.
I think no one will be nervous. Everybody is preparing their own new strategies, so maybe like trying to do the best.
Well, it's awesome hearing from the pros. I have a unique experience of actually having 2 players who were at last year's Worlds who haven't made it this year. How painful is it not being on, actually competing?
I mean, if we would have went out last year in group stages, for example, that would have been like really bad not making it again. Certain players at this desk may confirm. But,
a little bit of pain, a little bit of heartfelt
actually,
pain.
no, it's even worse if you got really close. We got really close last year, and we took a dive. Let's face it, we were top 3 last season, and it was really hard to get on the same level, and we just didn't. So
Monty, I see you're itching.
I am. I mean, you say these 2 guys didn't make Worlds. Well, I'm CLG's coach, so I didn't get to coach here either. So I feel a little sad as well.
So it is worth pointing out that last year CLG made Worlds, and then you joined as coach. And then they had to fight for their spot.
Ooh, that's some strong words. Guys, we do have to take a very quick break, but when we return, Europe's Lemon Dogs battle the international wildcard, Gaming Gear EU. Don't go anywhere. The League of Legends Season 3 World Championship. We'll be right back.